checks in our future. Somebody in the way of me getting the juicy, oh. Bank account getting bigger. Rocks on my chain like glitter. If there's money in the picture, put it in the bank, cause you know that I'm gon' get you. Checks in our future. Somebody in the way of me getting the juicy, oh. Bank account getting bigger. Rocks on my chain like glitter. If there's money in the picture, put it in the bank, cause you know that I'm gon' get you.
All right. Welcome. Pardon the wrestling, but I am Brian, and today we are going to be reviewing, or rather, we're going to be previewing and predicting WWE Money in the Bank 2023. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button for more content just like this. And of course, hit that like button as well, as that'll help others find this content just like you did. Now, we did this a month ago with Night of Champions. I was mostly right for everything. This one I'm not feeling as confident because I look at all the matches that we have set forth for Saturday afternoon, and a lot of these can go so many different ways. Even the Seth Rollins World Championship match, I think, has a potential to go to Finn, just because we have a World Heavyweight title that can actually, bounce back and forth, if you will. I don't want to see that title bounce back and forth, but that possibility is there more often than with Roman Reigns, for instance. But let's just get into the actual show itself. And we're going to do this in the order that I have in our description here. So we'll start off with the World Heavyweight Championship match with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. And we're doing this live right now here on our channel, but we'll also have this available to watch on demand as well. So if you are with us watching live and you want to contribute to the conversation, just drop a chat in there. We'll discuss it. And if you have your own predictions, of course, let's talk about it as well. So Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. They're running this back. Of course, a lot of the history that is being based in this match is coming off of the original Universal Championship match that came about 7 years ago between the two, and we saw Finn Balor get injured during that match after a buckle bomb into the barricade went awry. So he actually held the Universal Championship for less than 24 hours after being the inaugural champion of that brand new title that I believe Mick Foley introduced back then. So there's a lot of history with this. I want to go back to a couple weeks on Raw when Finn Balor was out there with Seth Rollins, and Finn looked like he was going to be delivering I don't want to say banger. That's not the right word for this context, but it looked like he was going to give a very career-defining promo, or at least, a way to really show off his character, what he is at, where he is at that point. And the crowd absolutely overcame everything that Finn was going to do, singing Seth's song. I'll be honest, I'm at the point where I'm over this song. I hear it every week and I'm done with it. All right. I'm sure it's fun to do it at an actual crowd and just being along everyone else singing the song for 25 minutes straight, but this seemed like a very defining moment for Finn's character, and I hated seeing it being overtaken by the crowd doing that. A lot of people will say if Finn is good at his job, he would be able to overcome that. He would be able to shut him down, or whatever the case may be. That wasn't really going to happen in my eyes. The only way I thought that could have been saved from having the crowd overtake it was Seth saying something to stop it himself, and maybe saying, you know what, guys, I love you guys singing my song, but I do want to hear what Finn has to say, so let's just give him one. All right. And I wanted to hear what Finn really, if he would have changed things up with a crowd that wasn't going absolutely bonkers for Seth at that point. But again, when you got someone that is as over as Seth is right now, it's kind of hard to say otherwise. But I really wanted to see how that segment could have gone otherwise. But we go into this match. We got Finn and Seth. It should be a great match. I have no doubts that it will be. It's a shame that I felt like the Seth AJ match at Night of Champions, to me, it just didn't live up to the expectations that built up in my head. Maybe because I'm assuming we're watching Seth Rollins and AJ Styles both in their primes at the same time, where I think you could argue that Seth is probably at the peak of his prime right now, where AJ, of course, just getting older, and Seth's not young either, but AJ's had a little more issues when it comes to injuries and whatnot. And I don't know. To me, that match just didn't deliver the way I wanted it to. But Seth and Finn, I think, have an opportunity to really be the best match on the show. I think when you look at the entire card, it's the easiest one to consider that may produce the best match with everyone involved. But when it comes to who I think will win Seth versus Finn, I think, or at least I hope, that Seth ends up winning this one, because I want to see some longevity out of his title reign right out the gate. I don't want to see it being flip-flop back and forth between people. As much as I would love to see Finn with that championship, I think he'll get there. I don't think his time is just yet. In all reality, I really don't know who Seth would lose the title to. Would it be Finn maybe down the line? Perhaps, but I don't think it's going to happen in London. I'm just trying to really think here who could take the title off him. I think Cody's going to be involved more on the Roman Reigns side. I don't know how we get there with Roman being on SmackDown and Cody being on Raw at the moment, so we'll have to do some show flopping at some point to make that happen. But I really think those two are going to be the ones that are going to be intertwined, and to see who Seth may go against at some point, we won't know just yet, but I do believe Finn will end up losing in London against Seth Rollins, and I think Seth will retain the World Heavyweight Championship, and I believe it's is this his second official title match, I believe, since he won at Night of Champions a couple weeks ago. I do believe it is. But Let's talk about the Bloodline Civil War. This is something that's been brewing for a long time. If you're unaware, I don't know how you could be watching any part of wrestling here and not know anything about the Bloodline, but this has been a multi-year storyline, and I think many people would be very confident in saying this is one of the best stories that WWE has been able to put on in their time over the last few years, because you have a guy who was not doing well as a babyface in Roman Reigns. He was not getting the reactions you would hope for. The whole doing John Cena part 2 wasn't working out for them. A lot of things got in the way, of course, real life with Roman, as well as the pandemic at the time, but a lot of things just kind of started hitting that right note to where a heel turn was just the right thing for him. And I think is probably one of the best turns that WWE has actually gone forth and done. And that's put Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. And of course, we got the whole Bloodline story around it. The whole manipulation of Jey Uso and Sami Zayn's involvement. And then bringing Solo Sikoa up last year at Clash of the Castle. A lot of it's culminated into this moment. Of course, we're skipping over a lot of things because this isn't a live stream or a video to talk about the entirety of the Bloodline story. But to get to this point, the Usos versus Solo and Roman. And Solo is a brother of the Usos, so they are brothers. They're actual brothers here. And they're still on opposite sides here. So at some point, we're going to see Solo turn on Roman or vice versa. I would like to see Roman actually do the turning for once, because he's the one that constantly gets betrayed, I guess is the easiest way of putting it. And usually when someone gets betrayed constantly, they're babyface. They're not the heel. And Roman is constantly getting turned on, whether it's Sammy, whether it's Jimmy and Jay, whether it's Seth Rollins, every single time it happens to him. So I would like to see Roman turn on Solo to say, you know what? You're not doing what I need you to do. It's done. And then he's on the island of relevancy by himself. Maybe Paul at that point has walked away. I know we're going to get to that point at somewhere down the line, but we're probably still a little ways from that, especially a little ways from Solo and Roman splitting up. Now, who's going to win this match particularly? Like I said, this is a very hard event for me to predict, because I'm not sure, because you go either way here. I think the story continues better if... I guess it depends how fast they're trying to accelerate the Bloodline complete dismantling. If the idea is to have this dismantled by, say, Payback in September, then I think you have the Usos win here. If they want to elongate this whole story, you got to give it to Roman and Solo in some way. And I don't know how you get there, but it really depends on how far along they want this to go. I think just putting it out there, I think they're going to go as long as absolutely possible. So I think Roman and Solo find a way to win here. I don't know if the time is now to have Roman take a loss again. I mean, they just lost against Kevin and Sami last month, but I'm going to go with Roman and Solo here. I think they're going to need to help elongate the story. So we'll go with them. Next up, I believe, is the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And they added another person over the last couple weeks. Now it's Logan Paul. And we'll get to that in a second. All right, so let's just go over the participants here. We got Damian Priest, Butch from the Brawling Brutes, Santos Escobar from LWO, LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura, Logan Paul, and Ricochet. Now, if you've been online or on Twitter over the last few days, you notice that there is a lot of talk about what are we going to be doing with Logan Paul? Is he going to be winning this briefcase because it's a good promotion of the brand if he's the one that ends up winning the briefcase? You got him maybe possibly taking that elsewhere. I doubt he would just walk around with a briefcase, but they want to use his celebrity status to help, I guess, free marketing for WWE at that time. Logan Paul winning this would not go over well at all. I can tell you that right now. And especially because there's 6 other people in this match that would absolutely do well with this briefcase. Now, as for Logan Paul's inclusion in the match, there's a lot of people upset about that happening because everyone else had to qualify and he's just tossed in this match. And it's not like he's winning matches when he shows up all that often and he's losing. So to see him just be given this opportunity seems very it doesn't bode well for those that are in the match already. It doesn't come off great. So as for who's going to win this match, this is going to sound like a broken record because we're going to say it many more times, is that you could really go any way with this. I think the most popular choice, I think the right choice is going to be LA Knight. I think him with a briefcase would be very good television. Of course, he would probably end up cashing in on Seth whenever that could happen. I don't see any of these guys cashing in on Roman. It just doesn't seem like that's not going to be the way he loses his title. So I think it'd be kind of a waste. And I think that's kind of what they did, or why they did what they did last year with Austin Theory, cash in on the United States Championship, because they weren't going to have him do it on Roman Reigns. It didn't seem like it was a good use of the briefcase, so they just opted to use it on a mid-card title at the time. Like I said, I think LA Knight is the best choice. Do I think it's going to be the choice they go with? I don't know. I really don't. It depends if they want to make a star out of this. I think LA Knight doesn't necessarily need it unless they don't have a more organic plan to push him to a higher level. I do think as a heel, at least for now, he would do well with it. I don't see Ricochet winning it. I don't see Butch winning it. Priest winning it would be a very interesting dynamic, and he's my number 2 in terms of who I think will win. Just because I do believe we're going to get to the point where he's going to break off the Judgment Day some way, somehow. What I want to see personally is like a constant, I guess. So my quick idea here for the Judgment Day is a rule of 2, if you will. So if you're familiar with Star Wars, the rule of 2 is with Sith, there's 2. Always 2 there are, no more, no less. Now, when it comes to training your apprentice, the goal is for your apprentice to get powerful enough to eventually kill you and take over as the master until they get an apprentice and rinse and repeat. That's kind of what I want to see with the Judgment Day. So Finn Balor's technically, I believe, the leader of the Judgment Day. It's kind of hard to tell because with the Judgment Day, they're very kind of split across the board when it comes to who's in charge. I guess Dominik would probably be the lowest on the totem pole, but it seems like, Rhea, Damian, and Finn all kind of split time as, the head of the Judgment Day. But I would not mind seeing it, and I guess you can't do it all the time because then it would get very predictable. But I wouldn't mind seeing Damian in some way take out Finn and come into his own as the leader of the Judgment Day. That's one idea. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think he's my number 2 pick for this. So LA Knight and Damian Priest, that's my 1 and 2. I think Butch with the Money in the Bank briefcase would be very interesting. I don't think Shinsuke needs it. And Santos Escobar, I think, is going to get there at some point. I think he's still probably going to be seasoned a little bit more before he gets into a role like this. But I think Santos could absolutely use something like this in the future to boost him. I think Ricochet is just not going to end up with it. I think what we have been hearing about Logan Paul and Ricochet getting into a feud is going to actually happen, kind of going back to the Royal Rumble with their little spot that they had. I think that's going to be what they're building towards for those two. So my official prediction is LA Knight. My backup prediction is Damian Priest. Next up is the women's Money in the Bank ladder match for the briefcase. And that's kind of weird. So I'm looking at the pictures they have for the matches, and in the background of the men's they don't show anything, but in the women's one they actually show like a mini white briefcase for theirs, but it's weird. Anyway, so the participants in this match is Io Sky, Trish Stratus, Zoey Stark, Becky Lynch, Zelina Vega, and Bayley. We had a weird moment a couple weeks ago on SmackDown where Bayley was getting challenged by Shotzi for her spot in the Money in the Bank match, and of course, Vince scrapped that match. I think it was for last week. So that never happened. So Bayley is still in this match. I don't know what the plan was if she was going to be taken out. That'd be I don't know. Anyway, when it comes to this match, I think there's only one choice, and that's going to be Io Sky. Like, kind of going back to the men's briefcase match where it seems like the best plot device for furthering the story would be for a certain person to win the briefcase. And it goes outside of just winning the championship. It goes into pushing maybe a breakup with the team. Everything we've been led to believe so far is that Bayley and Io are eventually going to be splitting up here, and that would, I guess, include Dakota Kai when she returns eventually. But Io has gotten great reactions. She has proven herself in the ring time and time again. I think it's time. I think Hunter's going to get his chance to push Io Sky to where she needs to go. And I think Io is just the right fit to win the briefcase here. Bayley doesn't need it. She's at that level. I think Zelina's probably she's my number 3 pick because I think Zoey Stark would be an interesting dynamic to have her win it. But I think Trish, Zoey, and Becky are pretty much irrelevant to winning this match at all. I know for a fact Trish won't win it. Zoey is probably, like I said, my number 2 pick, but barely over Zelina. And then Becky, again, I think she's just too big for the briefcase as well. Kind of like Bayley. But yeah, Io Sky I think is my easy number 1 pick. Zoey Stark is a very far off 2 with Zelina right behind her. Next, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship match, and I know I already went out of order for my description, but here we are. We're going down the line for WWE's website here. So this had an interesting moment where a couple weeks ago, the NXT Women's Tag Team titles got merged with the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. So all the Tag Team Championships for the women's side are all now on just one set of belts. And we're getting rumors here that we're going to see a new set of women's tag team belts, which is a shame because I really like these titles. They're one of the more unique looking ones that WWE has on the main brand. And I don't think there's really a reason to change them. They don't look as gaudy as the men's, which there's a rumor to get those changed as well. And the rumor is that they're still going to be 2 separate brands. So we're still going to have 2 sets of titles, but hopefully it's a much better design. I wouldn't be upset if they did a revamped design of the Ruthless Aggression era tag team titles, but that's another discussion for another day. So Ronda and Shayna versus Raquel and Liv. Liv returned a week ago, a lot earlier than I was anticipating, so that was kind of a nice return for her. Ronda and Shayna have been lobbying to be a tag team for quite some time behind the scenes. So I would actually be shocked if they lost it this quickly, especially after just unifying it against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I think it's better for these 2 to chase, Liv and Raquel, whether it's to continue to build them up as a team and maybe have them win it at SummerSlam. I think would be a better idea. I realize as I'm going to go down this list, we're not going to have any title changes. And that seems to be kind of the norm for both companies nowadays, is that you're not getting many title changes. But Liv and Raquel, I think, are going to chase for a little while longer. I don't think they're going to win here. I am not sold on Ronda and Shayna as a team, probably because I don't find neither of them to be particularly very good on the microphone side of things. Yeah, they're portrayed as badasses, but that's about as far as you can get with those 2 right now. I think they truly need a mouthpiece. That's not, either of them. But I do believe Ronda and Shayna win this one, and we'll see maybe another one. I think we might see some flukiness to this, but we'll see. Cody versus Dominik is an interesting one. Because there is some rumors out there that the next challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be Dominik Mysterio. So to get there, he has to beat Cody, which there's plenty of ways to make that happen when it comes to upsetting Cody Rhodes here. With Dominik being a heel, having the entire Judgment Day with him, I would assume it would just be probably Rhea with him. Some way to get there to help Dominik cheat to victory here, have a huge win over Cody would be big. It would continue to push Cody down and having to build back up as he heads towards WrestleMania next year, because I believe our worst fears are coming true where it'll be Cody versus Roman again at WrestleMania. I don't know. That's, again, another story for another day. But Cody versus Dominik in London. I don't expect a great match out of this at all. I expect some shenanigans, obviously. I do expect to be mildly entertained for this one. But again, I'm not too excited for this one. Again, I expect Dominik to win. Just outside of the whole rumors of him challenge for the title, it just seems like he needs like one of those landmark wins, and doing it against Cody, even if he's cheating, is I think a big way to head towards that. I don't know what the long-term plans for Dominik is. I think when it comes to when he's actually in the ring, he's not bad, but his heat isn't carrying over from his talking segment. So we need to see something when it comes to him inside the ring to make people care a little bit more outside of just him talking on the microphone. So I'd like to see this. This is going to be a proving ground match for him for sure. Cody is no slouch in the ring, so we'll see what he does with Dominik when those two go one-on-one. And our last match, I believe, on our preview here is Gunther versus Matt Riddle. And this is for the Intercontinental Championship. And folks, if you think Gunther is losing this at all, I don't know what to tell you. He's not. He's not going to be losing this match. Simple as that. Now, what I'm more interested in finding out is, because there are some rumors swirling. Again, we're talking about rumors, about some returns at Money in the Bank. Now, one of those returns happens to be Matt Riddle's partner, his tag team partner, Randy Orton. We could potentially see Orton involved in this in some way, some form. Now, what I don't want to see is Orton take that title from Gunther. I don't want to see that at all. I don't know how you could involve Orton in this and then have him lose his first feud back. But I mean, against Gunther would be, I think, a fun feud for Orton. I believe, you know, with what he's trying to overcome with his back issues. Now, Gunther is a very powerful wrestler. He's not someone that's going to be very light. He does work a particular style that is very rough and tough. I don't know if Orton would come back in this regard here. I don't know if he's even going to come back at all. But I'm very interested to see how possible surprises do happen at Money in the Bank. So Drew McIntyre is also another rumor name to show up at this event. But we don't know until we watch the show on Saturday. It's as simple as that. But give you a quick rundown of what I just predicted. Of course, for the World Heavyweight Championship, I got Seth over Finn. For the Bloodline Civil War, I got Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa over the Usos. I'm curious if that match will go on last or if the World Heavyweight Championship will go on last. I don't know. I wouldn't mind a tease for a cash-in on this show on the men's side. I don't want to see a woman cash it in the first night they have it, because they need to do an actual story, all right, with this briefcase on the women's side. They always cash it in right away. And I think Io winning when Io couldn't even cash in anyway because none of the women are wrestling. But either way, with the briefcase, I want to see more stories come out of that. So the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, I of course have LA Knight. I think everyone and their mother does as well. But to give you a second pick, Damian Priest is my next pick. Dark horse, I'm going Butch. All right, dark horse. Women's, I got Io Sky winning that one to help further the split with Bayley. That was kind of my prediction in Puerto Rico when she went against Bianca. I was like, give it to Io here. Continue that split. I'm a big Io fan too, so I wanted to see that happen. But regardless, tag team championship match for Ronda and Shayna versus Liv and Raquel will be Ronda and Shayna on my side. And then Dominik will beat Cody. And then Gunther will take down Matt Riddle and successfully defend the Intercontinental Championship. He's very close to beating the Honky Tonk Man. They're going to let him do it. So there's no way he's going to lose it to Riddle. Ilya Dragunov just makes the most sense, right? Because he took the UK title off of Gunther. It would be a great story because Gunther would be like seeing a ghost when he shows up on the main roster again. Hell, that would be... I don't know what Ilya is doing in NXT at this exact moment because I haven't really been keeping up at NXT. But if that would be a fun surprise, is having Ilya show up after this match. That'd be great. I don't know if he's currently involved in anything, but I'll find out later. So let me know what your predictions are. We ran a little longer here than I wanted to, but let me know what your predictions are. Let me know in the comment section down below. What are you hoping for out of this show? Who do you want to see win the briefcases? And who would you like to see them cash it in on? Because, of course, there's 2 sets of champions on both shows. I guess they can technically still cash in on the Intercontinental and United States title as well, but God, that's such a dumb thing to do. Again, I think they only did that just because of the whole Roman Reigns situation last year. But if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Like this video for more content just like this. And of course, I want to thank you for your support, and we'll see you on the next one.